Friends, I think we are going to get started. So if you could take your seats. I mean, unless you want to stand for the whole service, that's your choice.
We are all about choice here in the Reform movement.
Yeah, that's right.
We are a pro-choice movement.
We are going to start with Hine Matov. And if you don't have the words, you can find them in your prayer book on page 4. But I think you probably all know it. Go ahead. Hine Matov?
Might be.
I don't think so.
It is not. Okay.
It's all right.
Hine Matov. Umanayim Sheve'ahim Gam Yaham Hine Matov Umanayim Sheve'ahim Gam Yaham Hine Matov Hine Matov Umanayim Sheve'ahim Gam Yaham Hine Matov Manayim Sheve'ahim Gam Yaham. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine Matov. Hine Matov Umanayim Sheve'ahim Gam Yaham Hine Matov Umanayim Sheve'ahim Gam Yaham Sheve'ahim Gam Sheve'ahim.
Welcome and Shabbat Shalom. I want to welcome Jonathan Goldstein, who is here leading with me. I don't even know what to do. Like, if he's doing all the music, I feel like you don't even need me anymore. Just call out the page.
We need you. You'll do something rabbinic.
I'll do something. I'm going to do an interpretive dance. It's like a new thing here at CSK. So we're going to continue with Zamru Ladonai it is on your handout. I was going to call it a supplement, but it's really just a handout.
So if you don't know what like Kabbalat Shabbat is all about, Kabbalat Shabbat is like your warm up to praying. And so this is a really good way to kind of warm up, kind of get into that Shabbat headspace, if you will. The words are really simple. The tune just changes twice. So sounds like this. Samru Ladonai B'Chi B'Chi Samru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor, Bekol Zimra, Samru Adonai, Bechinor, Bekol Zimra, Samru Adonai, Bechinor. Behino, Behodimra, Adonai, Behino, 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 Behodimra, Samru Adonai, Behino, Behinor, Bekodimra,
I'd like to invite Nancy Scheinman up to help us light the Shabbat candles, which can be found on page 9 of your prayer book. We're going to continue with Lecha Dodi on page 5 as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
We so are. So having a little disconnect between my sound here, which I think all of you can hear, and the sound online. So I'm gonna have to kind of mess around with this. So if it gets a little Lecha lecha dodi likrat likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nekabela Lecha lecha dodi likrat likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nekabela la 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 lecha dodi likrat likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nekabela Lecha lecha dodi likrat likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nekabela Shabbat bechuvenacha, Hihi makor habracha, Merosh mikedem netzucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshavati la 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 chadodi, Likrat likrat kala, B'nei b'nei Shabbat nekavela. He fixed it. Chadodi, Likrat likrat kala, B'nei b'nei Shabbat nekavela la 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 la. Krakala, Panay Panay, Shabbat Nekavela, Kalpadoni, Krakala, Panay Panay, Shabbat Nekavela. Orzachor Medivorachad, Ishti Anel Hamayuchad, Adonai Echad, Ushmo Echad. People repellenti la 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 pagod. Nikavit bakala. Neprenei Shabbat Nekavela. Adoni Nikavit bakala. Neprenei Shabbat Nekavela. Oreri, oreri, Iba ore, uri, Sherdaberi. Adonai Allah, Ifni, la 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 la. We the shalom aderifala. Yom besimcha uvetzola. Toch amonei am segula. Vokli kala, vokli kala. Adodi. Mikra, mikra, kala. Nefadei, sabat, mikavela. Lakal, adodi. Mikra, mikra, kala. Shabbat
So hopefully we'll fix the sound, but you may be seated. Then Isaac asked the eternal king of the world, when you made the light, you said in your Torah that it was good. And when you made the expanse of heaven and earth, you said in your Torah that they were good. And of every herb you made and every beast, you said they were good. But when you made us in your image, you did not say of us in your Torah that humanity was good. Why? Why, God? And God answered, because you have not yet perfected, because through the Torah you are to perfect yourselves and to perfect the world. All other things are completed, they cannot grow, but humankind is not complete. We continue with the call to worship. Right into Roll into dark, roll into light. Light becomes day, day beats tonight. We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us even in the midst of fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love, embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, and the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. We continue with the Shema on page 16.
Not getting a lot of vocal. Are you guys able to hear me through the mic? Shema Yisrael Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Shem Kavod Ma'aso Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Shem Kavod Ma'aso Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai.
You may be seated. We continue via Hafta on page 17. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. This book doesn't do Lemon. Oh, thank you so much. I don't know this book. There it is.
Leman tizkeru v'asitem
et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני Adonai Elohechem. And before me, Chamocha, I want to just share with you a poem by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who's eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous, complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention. how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me what it is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life. We continue with Mi Chamocha on page 21.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha netar ba'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha netar ba'kodesh. No ran keilos, osen pa'alet. No ran keilos, osen pa'alet. Im loch le'olam va'ed. Bachot tehara uvanecha, k'hayam lechnei Moshe u'Miriam. Da'eliyanu ve'amru, da'eliyanu ve'amru, Adonai, im loch le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha netar ba'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha netar ba'kodesh. No keilos, osen pa'alet. No keilos, osen pa'alet. Im loch le'olam va'ed. Adonai, im loch le'olam va'ed.
And before we continue with Hashkivenu, which is on page 22, it's a prayer that we usually say before we go to sleep at night. So I offer this reading for you. I've been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street, but not to call me back or say goodbye. And further still, at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right. I've been acquainted with the night. Continue on with Hashkivenu on page 22.
Shivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom. V'hamidenu Malkeinu leChaim. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom. V'hamidenu Malkeinu leChaim. Ufros aleinu, sukai shlomecha, ushmor tzitenu, uvuenu. Ufros aleinu, sukai shlomecha, ushmor tzitenu, uvuenu. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu leChaim. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu leChaim. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Aleinu ve'el kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
Let's read together on the top of page 23. Lord our God, cause us to lie down in peace and raise us up, our sovereign, to life. Cover us with the sukkah of your peace. Improve us with your good counsel and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enmity, pestilence, war, hunger, and anguish. Let there be no evil before us or behind us. Protect us within the shadow of your wings. For you, our guardian and our helper, our divine ruler, merciful and gracious, guard our going out and our coming in to life and to peace forevermore. Cover us with your sukkah of your peace. Blessed are you, Lord Adonai, who spreads the sukkah of peace over us, over all people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. We rise for the Amidah, which can be found on page 24.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tifta. Na 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 Upi Ahid. Upi Ahid Tehilatan. Na 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 Adonai. Ananas Fatai Tifta. Ananana Upiagid. Upiagid Hilatan. Ananana Adonai. Ananana Fatai Tifta. Ananana Upiagid. Upiagid Tehilatan.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Belohei Avotenu Vimotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei hakol, v'zocher aste avot v'imahot, u'mevi gula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo b'yahava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'ezrat tzara. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Michaye hakol atah Rav l'hoshia. Michalkel Chaim bechesed, Michaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei holim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal givurot, Umido melach, Melech memit u'mechaye u'matzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lahachayot metim Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hametim or hakol, whatever your preference. We take a moment for silent prayer for the next few pages. Please pray on your own. Page 38. Yihiyu Laratzon.
Yehularatzon emrefi Egyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri ego ali Adonai tzuri ego ali Yehularatzon emrefi Egyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri ego ali Adonai tzuri ego ali. May the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehularatzon emrefi Egyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri ego ali Adonai tzuri ego ali. May the word of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Adonai, Yehularatzon emrefi Egyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri ego ali Adonai tzuri ego ali.
And we take a moment now to think of those who are in need of healing. And so as I go around the room and my eyes meet yours, if you'd like to add a name to our Misha Berach list, feel free to do so. Please join us in Misha Berach, which can be found on page 39. Misheberach Avoteinu Mikor habracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Misheberach Imoteinu Mikor habracha Leavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Shabbat Shalom again. I thought we were going to have to do this without a microphone for a while, but we're back. We're live. Just a quick story. Ooh, and I feel a little bit of feedback. I'm sorry about that. So, as you may know, because I tell stories about it all the time, I had a pulpit in Harlingen, Texas, was my student pulpit. Is that better? Yes, my student pulpit in Harlingen, Texas. So I would go down once a month, twice a month, and high holidays, and we come back and we had this practical rabbinics class where we talk about the things that happened in our teeny tiny temples, where they didn't have enough Jews for a rabbi, so they inflict a student, on them. So I'd come back and all my classmates would be like, oh, and I visited with so-and-so about her life and death decisions. And I'm thinking I just saw somebody with gout, but whatever. And, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. It just didn't seem like I was doing a lot. So they told me in Harlingen that they were going to have a board meeting this next time. So I got all prepared for the board meeting thinking I'm going to have to say something, I'm going to have to be the rabbi. So is this off, John, or is it still on? Okay. So I go down there and they said to me, the board meeting's not at the synagogue. It's in Matamoros, right over we're going to go to a restaurant there. And I was like, all right, whatever. So we go to this restaurant, the whole board, there's 20 people. And we sit at this big, long table, very busy, noisy restaurant. I'm sort of trying to figure out how this is going to work, but I'm sitting at the head of the table, so I'm getting ready to talk. And just as I'm about to talk, at the very end, Louis Levine, who was the president at the time, just went to me like this, and right behind me, this line of mariachi players just went, oh, because they have tall volume, and I was like, oh, this is a board meeting. I get it. It's a board meeting. Basically, everyone was just drinking and there was no meeting. They were just drinking and having a good time. Couldn't figure out what was going on, right? I had to come back and tell them about my weekend. And every time I went down to Harlingen, it was like a giant party, right? So I've thought about that a lot. I love that little congregation. They knew nothing about being Jewish. I mean, literally, people would come in, they would look at me and smile, and it was like the Laura show. I was tap dancing on the beam. Everything. I was doing everything. I was reading. I was singing. They had nothing, barely any Jewish knowledge, right? But they were so warm and they were so caring. about me, about each other. And after every service, they had the most incredible Oneg Shabbats. I mean, like, it was incredible. It was always a party. And I thought, I got to hang on to this pulpit. Like, I don't want anybody to know how good this is because, they would say, you know what, we're going to go down to, to the island and we're just going to do, have a fun Shabbat this Friday and don't worry about a sermon. And it was just incredible. So as I've gotten older and I think back on that congregation, I realize how wise these people were. Some of them are still alive, but many have passed away. They understood something that's very essential about Judaism. And it's something that I think we know about, but we don't really stop and think about, and that is joy. So the reason I want to talk about joy is that in this parsha, the book of Deuteronomy, we actually get the word simcha, or joy, 12 times. 12 times. Yet it appears actually 12 times in the book of Deuteronomy, 7 of them in this parsha, Re'ah, which is a little bit strange because it appears only once in each of the other books. Deuteronomy, if you don't already know, is a review of everything that's happened so far. So it is Moses's swan song, and he's reviewing everything that's happened to the Jewish people, and he's preparing them to go into the promised land, right? And so there's a lot of like, you better listen, you better follow the rules kind of thing, right? And what he says basically is that you need to follow these commandments. And if you do, you will be able to celebrate in joy. We usually skip over the simcha part, but simcha is translated as joy and rejoicing and gladness, happiness, pleasure, delight. And it has this nuance that is not really translatable in English. We think of joy as sort of happiness or pleasure. These are states of mind or emotions, but those belong to an individual. We can feel them alone. You can feel happy alone, right? But a simcha is something different. A simcha is happiness shared. It's a social state. It's a we. It's not an I. And there is no such thing as feeling a simcha alone. When I teach my students about the Pale of Settlement in Poland, and I teach them about shtetl life, there's a very famous depiction of shtetl life. And, the shtetl was incredibly poor. We're talking about abject poverty. But the depiction that we all see usually, that's very famous, is of a wedding, of people dancing and drinking wine and singing. Joy, simcha, which we're actually commanded to do. They know what, Jews, we have to be commanded to actually rejoice, right? We're commanded to rejoice, no matter how bad it's going, if there's a wedding, you got to eat and you got to rejoice. Because we're like varsity sufferers, you know what I mean? We're like the Olympic level of suffering, okay? As we all know, the old joke is, they tried to kill us, they didn't succeed, now let's eat. But the let's eat part is the really important part. It's the part that we share. And it's the part that is what Moses focuses on actually in this parsha. The interesting thing about this simcha, or this joy, is that when Moses articulates it, he definitely says that it's a national kind of rejoicing. The nation is supposed to be brought together not just by crisis or catastrophe, right? We always come together in times of woe and crisis, and that is a beautiful thing. But Moses said we must come together in celebration as well, which is really key. No one is left out. No stranger, no widow, no orphan, no servant, no one who is lonely. Everyone is included. And this is about the transformation of the human condition. So a simcha is a joy shared. And in that joy shared, the individual actually converts into something else. It's part of a community. Wordsworth called it the deep power of joy. another quick story. So years ago, there was I forget the name of the hurricane, but there was a hurricane that hit Cape Cod, and I was living for the summer up in Albany, New York, doing an internship, and I was set to come home right after this hurricane. Oh, it was Hurricane Bob, and it blew out all electricity on the Cape, which is not that unusual, but it really, like, there was no electricity for many, many days. And it blew down a lot of trees. And the area that my parents live in has a lot of old trees. So we came in and it was sort of towards evening. We had driven all day, my friend and I thought it's going to be dark, right? It's going to be totally pitch dark. But as we drove up the driveway, I saw what my mom had done. She had taken like all of the flowers and stuff that had blown, on the ground. And she had like lit up the whole house at candles and flowers. And because the electricity was out and the food was going to go bad, she made all this food and she invited all these neighbors. It was the most beautiful transformation of a tragedy into a joy. And it was something more than happiness. It was a simcha. This is a paradox, right? The suffering and persecution, this is this common enemy that unites us and turns us into a nation. We actually have to do something different, though, when we're not in crisis. So what Moses is preparing this group of people for is actually to occupy this new territory and to live in it. He's actually preparing them to go from wandering and, not having a lot of creature comforts into a time period in which people would be stable, maybe even affluent, right? Affluence is actually more of a predicament than running around and camping in the desert. It's actually hard. It's hard to actually continue to be a nation and continue to find happiness when you have everything, because you can become indifferent. Indifferent to the fate of those who have less than you, but also when societies start to disintegrate, it's usually at the height of their good fortune. And it's a long, slow process of decline. And you could even argue that it's because we lose sight of really what's important. What Moses is saying is we have to remember that what we're actually brought there to do is to be a community. And being a community means that we celebrate life and we share joy. Robert Louis Stevenson had a really great quote that I just found. Find out where joy resides and give it a voice far beyond singing, for to miss the joy is to miss everything. That's precisely what Moses is saying in this parasha, is that he sets before the people blessing and curse, and he asks them to choose life. But choosing life means celebrating life. It doesn't mean passively walking through life. So we're commanded to celebrate these simchas at key moments. When we have a baby, when there's a marriage, Shabbat, holidays. And in fact, if we don't actually celebrate these moments as if they're simchas, we're breaking the commandment. We're not fulfilling the commandment. We forget this all of the time. And I think when we're really comfortable, we forget the power of joy. We think it can be achieved in our, singular state, that it's something that comes because you have things. It has nothing to do with having anything. It has everything to do with sharing something. So we all know this, that people who have everything can actually suffer and not understand how to feel joy. And usually the antidote to that is community. Why? Because in community, we can have joy. We can have a simcha and not just happiness. This, I think, is a greater trial than just the wandering. If you think about it, coming together in a time of crisis or a time of great sorrow is natural, right? We want to comfort each other. But joy, a simcha, actually takes a lot of effort. And it's very easy to continue to just go along with life and to not make that effort, right? I think one of the biggest tragedies of COVID, of the lockdown, was this inability to gather and find joy. And we really missed it. I mean, people really missed it. And I think coming back to that, to this, us being alive and well and being able to gather is something that we can't take for granted, is something that we have to not only cherish, but make the effort to do. These Harlingen folks were like masters of creating joyous moments. And I think it is the single reason why the community survived. There's absolutely no reason in the world why this tiny little group of Jews in Harlingen, Texas, which, like, if we've suffered enough, like, why are people living in Harlingen, Texas? But seriously, the only reason they survived is because they came together in joy, like not occasionally, but consistently. And they felt that there needed to be no excuse to feel that joy. So they filled their synagogue with food and with conversation with people, with whomever needed to be there. And that was the glue. That was the thing that kept the people of Israel alive in that community. I think sometimes we forget about that. We forget how easy it is to really sustain ourselves just by gathering, just by singing. But if you look at different Jewish communities throughout history, the really strong ones are the ones who came together and consistently rejoiced on Shabbat together. They weren't wealthy. They weren't necessarily happy, but they were joyous. They took that very seriously. I hope that this season, as we approach, October 7th, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I've been thinking about how it was so difficult to grasp moments of joy with this war as the backdrop and what had happened last year, and how much of an effort it was to do that, and how transformed we were as a community because of what's happened. And yet it's even more pressing that we do it. And as we move into this season of Yamim Norim, of the days of awe, my hope is that we won't just remember the things that are difficult, but we'll remember to put our efforts into creating simchas. Moses says that we have to share our happiness, that blessings are not measured by how much we own or earn or spend or possess, but by how much we share. Kierkegaard once wrote, "It takes moral courage to grieve, but it takes religious courage to rejoice." Shabbat Shalom. I think, do we have any announcements?
I don't think I need. Hi, everyone. This Sunday.
Here you go. Here you go. I'm going to hand it to you.
Those of you at home and here. Hi, on Sunday starts Elul. Someone said, why are we doing it on Sunday? Because that's when it starts. And it'll be at my house, but it's a group that's already started. And if you think you want to come to learn about yourself, your relationship with your community and your relationship with God, and have love and joy, that's really what the whole month before the high holidays is about. Please let me know, because I have pamphlets that I have to put together for you. Happy to have you come.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Jonathan, it's always a delight to have you. Thank you so much for your beautiful music. And Rabbi Laura Scheinkoff, we just don't have you enough. So we appreciate you. It's such a privilege to actually have you in person with us. As I know, many times when you're giving Shabbats, it's online. So we're so thankful to have you in person. So thank you for filling in for Rabbi Scott this evening. Okay, are y'all ready? There's a lot happening. I don't know if y'all are reading the emails. I really hope y'all are, but starting next week, it's on. Like I said a few weeks ago, the next 8 to 10 weeks are really impactful with a lot of programming, and of course the High Holy Days. So don't forget to sign up for the High Holy Days if you haven't already. Rosh Hashanah is October 2nd and 3rd, and we will be at the JCC with Kol Nidrei Yom Kippur following October 11th and 12th. But next week, we have share Chodesh on Wednesday evening at the JCC. Make sure to sign up if you haven't already. We already have a wonderful group of people attending, and we would love to have more. The next evening, Thursday, we have the play with Michelle Lazar, who will be doing RBG. There's still tickets available. I think there's just a few. It's almost sold out. So if you're looking to purchase tickets, I believe our discount code still works for 15% off. And then on Friday evening, we will be at the Murfish Teen Center with Shabbat with Rabbi Scott and I believe Kelly Dean with Al and Marilyn Eisenberg hosting our own egg. So we can't wait to see you guys there. And then on Saturday night, if you think that you still want to be with CSK in the community, there's a full community event at Temple or Congregation Emmanuel with a musician singing about Elul. We'll be partnering with HCRJ and Temple Sinai there as well. So it's just at 7 o'clock, more information in the emails that we've sent out, but you don't need to register. You can just come and show up. So we look forward to seeing a lot of y'all during this week. And I wish y'all a peaceful Shabbat. And I can't wait to go through these next few weeks with all of y'all. So we'll see y'all soon. Thank you.
Thank you. So the month of Elul, for those of you who don't know, is the Hebrew month in which we have the high holidays. So it is traditional every day to have a meditation to hear the shofar. It's supposed to wake us from our, complacency and help us to start to think about, this feedback is distracting me. Help us think about how we would like to return to ourselves, to our best selves. We are going to continue with the Aleinu, which I think is found on page
40.
40. Look at that. Thank you guys, because I've never used this book before. Okay, please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach Adon hakol, lateit gedula le'otzeh bereshit, shelo asanu goyei haratzot, velo samanu Adama.
Shelo sam helkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kercho am, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachabim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Ooh,
Oh boy,
that's
not even on. Okay, if you'd like to ask me. Please join me in the Mourner's Kaddish on page 44. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alman divrach hirotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedechol Beit Yisrael, v'adala u'vizman kariv v'emru,
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam olamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'troman v'yitnaseh v'yitchadar v'yitchaleh v'yitchalal shemei d'kedusha baruchu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiram b'yama v'emru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'emru amen. Oseh shalom v'mermav. Huya se shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. What are we doing for our closing? Oh, we have an original composition, I believe.
Yes. In the spirit of joy, feeding from your Devar Torah,
Thank you.
Rabbi,
Thank you.
I felt compelled this many years ago to write a melody to Ein Keloheinu that's a little catchy, not in minor keys. So it sounds like this. Nope, I just fix myself here. Okay, there we go. Enk Eloheinu, Enk Adonenu, Enk El Malkeinu, Enk Moshienu, Enk Eloheinu, Enk Adonenu, Enk El Malkeinu, Enk Moshienu. Mich Eloheinu, Mich Adonenu, Mich El Malkeinu, Mich Moshienu, Enk Eloheinu, Enk Adonenu, Enk El Malkeinu, Enk Moshienu. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Eloheinu, no del Moshienu. Enk Eloheinu, Enk Adonenu, Enk Eloheinu, Enk Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Enk Eloheinu, Enk Adonenu, Enk Malkeinu, Enk Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Enk Eloheinu, Enk Adonenu, Enk Malkeinu, Enk Moshienu, Enk Eloheinu, Enk Adonenu, Enk Malkeinu, Enk Moshienu, Enk Moshienu, Enk Moshienu. All right.
Oh, I don't, oh, here we go. Oh, you have, please join me. You can stand, sure. You don't have to, but you could stand. Baruch
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Olam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratavanu, b'shabbat kodsho, b'ahava uvratzon, hinchilanu,
Anu zikaron lemaaseh bereishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim. Ibanu bacharta, v'otanu kidasha, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Shabbat shalom.
Let's see.
Oh my gosh.
There's a
Things are really Baruch atah Adonai.
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, Shabbat shalom.
Amen. You're such good Jews. You're sitting there, you weren't even taking a bite until I said the prayer. I'm so impressed. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.